What's going on, everybody? It's Ron Brown, LMT, the People's Fitness Professional, alongside my co-host,
Mikey Fever.
and this is a New Yorker's Perspective. Dr. Paul Dyer was just on, and something happened. His screen went off,
His connection.
or maybe he has to charge his phone. Not sure. Whatever's going on. Hold on. Who's in the chat? Peace Awareness Daily. Peace Awareness Daily. All right. Here we go. He's back. Let's turn this music off. Again, thank you guys for coming out this evening. I really appreciate you, Dr. Paul Dyer, Mikey Fever, and
skin of my teeth.
in the audience. Okay, so he's back out again. All right. In the audience, thank y'all for showing up this evening. I really appreciate y'all, and for the onlookers now, and for those who are to come. You know,
listeners. Peace to the listeners.
Peace to the listeners on Spotify, Apple, etc. All right. So we have Dr. Paul Dyer today with us. How you feeling, Dr. Paul Dyer?
I'm doing really good. I'm doing super good, coming back for a little bit of a travel, but I'm doing super, super good.
Yeah, I see you online moving and shaking, man. You were in Vegas, I believe.
I was in Vegas at this huge health conference along with people from marketing, AI, business, education. So it was just a fantastic conference of the Health 2.0 conference. It was really good, and I got an award. Of course, you're great scientists here. You're Black scientists. which is funny because that's why I was called the Black Scientist. So.
Oh wow, the Black Scientist. Nice. So now, so as far as what you guys were discussing, can you share that with the audience?
Absolutely. So many people well, I'll just stay with healthcare because this is what this is all about. Because other people were talking about the fuel economy. People were talking about new technology, how it's going to be moving forward. Everything you're using, everything you probably never heard of yet, things that are coming down the pipe. Mm-hmm. As far as technology, sat with those guys. Sat with those CEOs, sat with those technicians and things like that. And then on the health side, just everything to really take care of the human being. Mm-hmm. And it's mostly on the emotional level, mostly on the mental level that this conference was really built around. So I fit right in, and I was talking about how AI is going to be introduced into the neurostem cell and how it's possible, how I really believe it's possible. Because I've written up my equations, my physics equations, my wavepoint transformation and things like that, of how AI is going to really be put in. Next week, I'll actually do a PowerPoint presentation. This way it'd be a lot easier. But in short, just AI becoming a filter, but even AI is not where my thinking's at. So it's not there yet, but we can work towards that. So it's going to be neat.
Okay. Yeah. Congratulations on that. Now, Mike, you have any questions or anything you want to say before we go into the questions?
I know the AI thing and the tech seminar with the healthcare. That's where it's at right now with the health. It's been like that for years. They've been working on altering the human psyche.
Well, here's the thing: they're not trying to alter it. See, AI is going to have a tough time trying to figure out our brain. It just really is, because AI is built to learn. It is still a petulant child. It is always wanting to learn. So the more you input it, the more it learns. But the way the brain learns is in so many facets, in so many ways of how it learns and how things get inputted into your brain that develops in your body. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be tough for AI.
Yeah. One thing I learned about AI recently is the more you use it, the more you understand it, and the more it understands you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what I mean. It's always learning, and it's learning from all things inputted.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's all it is. And the way I can see it working is going to be more of a helper than a doer. So I'll put it to you simply this way. You know how sometimes if you're writing or you're on your phone and it does autocorrect,
Yeah.
right? That's AI working for you in a way, right? It's telling you use this word. That word is, I don't know what you're talking about. This is the most popular word used. Use this word.
Mm-hmm.
What I believe AI can do is be a helper, meaning that even if it wanted to change the word as you're typing on your phone, it doesn't change it for you. It highlights it. I'll put it to you that way. It'll highlight it, so
Yeah.
it'll give you a presentation of looking at it saying, is this the word I want to use? And maybe I do want to use a different word, or this is the word I want to use, and you can just keep on going. So this way, you still have to think about the word. You still have to implant or input the word you want to use, or the word that you type is the word you want to use. So that's how I'm going to use AI into the emotional science, into the brain, into the networks.
But in a sense of altering, right? Maybe wrong term being used at the moment. They're expecting like it could change certain circuits in your brain. Like, said, if people going the pharmaceutical route with the medicine,
Well, so we talked about that. I talked about that with a person who's on the cutting edge of that, and they live in Dubai, and that's so far away. It really is right now, because for it to alter, that means it must have an idea of what your specific body has to be. So that means even if it was to alter, that means it would have to be in your body to learn your natural state of who you are, not what it's going to derive it to be.
yeah, in that sense, that's what I'm saying. Probably different term, but yeah, through time is the input as you mentioned. It could also like help a person navigate.
Yeah, because if it learned you and then it said, well, I want Mikey Fever to be something completely different, I don't think that AI could change its rhythm into making you into something else.
Okay.
Unless it was put in as a doer. Like if it was implanted as it's meant to turn this on. That's it. It's meant to turn that off. That's it. That in itself, one circuit and the neural networks turning it on and off can affect you in certain ways. So it can, and I said this in my talk in my fireside chat, that health does not have to be weaponized. It does not have to be weaponized. It's just educating the people, because people some of the concerns in health are people going to be so afraid of AI, and I'm curious who would be really afraid. That's like you being afraid of the driving car when it first came out. People were very skeptic, getting in a car instead of getting on a horse or a horse and buggy, so it's the idea of change. I get it. People are very skeptical of change, and that's fine, but I don't know if you can avoid it.
Gotcha.
Okay. Now we're talking about reprogramming the brain. Now, what's your idea or concept of how you would change the brain using AI? Can you go into detail about that?
Absolutely. So, we so the way the brain in short, the brain picks up in 7 different categories. It picks up in all of your 5 senses, and it picks up in vibration and frequency. Now you have at least 7 main networks that the brain sort of uses, right? It has, the visual system, the limbic system, the central executed network system, the default mode network, and it has, a couple more. So it has all these networks that is prepared to share information. So if AI gets implemented into uh, without giving my proprietary part, into the first part of the brain where the neural stem cell is activated, because as soon as it's born, it already has its marching orders because of who you are sensory, who you are in vibration, who you are in frequency. So if you're living in low frequency, if you're living in low vibration, if you're hypersensitive by hearing, smell, whatever your senses are, and it causes you to be more alarmed than any other sense, what I believe AI can do is actually filter the alarming registration of your cell and bring it into a low common denominator. So this way you have an equal chance of developing all those other things on an equal playing field. Because if you're visually excited by what was that, what did I see, and then it gets you all excited, it's already dumped a whole bunch of chemistry. We talked about chemistry. It dumps a whole bunch of activation that happens in the body that's reacting to now what your neural cell has picked up, saying, this is what we are reacting to. This is what our neural stem cells marching orders are. We're hyper, we're sensitive, we want to be stressed out. So your blood changes, your blood pressure changes, your cell changes, your glucose changes, your everything is changing because of the information that got inputted into you. That's why when you become a calmer person, you're like, I can't believe I used to really be excited by that, because you have changed your cell information about, like, that's not gonna bother me anymore, right? So that information, it still comes in, but you've regulated it. What AI can do, what I believe AI could do, is help filter that so you can give yourself time to regulate that.
Okay. Now, given filter that to give yourself time to regulate that. However, you did say what happens in the brain are chemical reactions that flow through the body, and it kind of sets your brain, body, and DNA, if you will, right? Your genetics.
Right. Yeah.
So
So there's a DNA component to it, but that has to be activated. Remember, the DNA and RNA is moving around to be activated, and it gets activated by the input, your perception that's influencing the chemistry to activate it. Right? We all have a cancer gene. Okay, what you say, we all have cancer genes. You don't have to have cancer. It's not a death sentence. But the only way you activate it is by doing something that isn't healthy for you, that activates the cancer gene, so now it grows. Well, it's just take that in good mental health or good emotional health or good emotional intelligence. If you want to regulate that so you develop a strong on that level, that still takes your, what you call, putting in the work, putting in the training, putting in the action. This way the cells get its information as soon as it's born. The neural cell gets its information as it's born and saying, oh, I'm not too excited about this. So this way, when it goes to the places it has to go in the body, it doesn't have to be activated by such high overload of a sense, vibration, or frequency.
Got you.
I feel scared. Like that's a subconscious saying that let your conscious know. Now, once your conscious says, I feel scared, your subconscious is, remember, it's already happened. It's already running its course of what to do because we're the subconscious is we're already scared. We're already working on our defense mechanisms. By the time the conscious level has it, I think I'm scared. Your chemistry is already in action. Remember, way before that, right? Way before that, your subconscious already triggered its markers, its chemistry to prepare to batten down the hatches for something to happen. So that changes everything in your body. Whether it be a physical overload, whether it be a mental overload, where it decreases your spirituality, all those things are already has happened. Once you come out of your mouth and say, I don't know if this is right, I don't think this is good, anything of those what do you call negative, disturbing words, it's just you reacting to the subconscious way after the play has already been kicked off, and now you're watching the replay in the conscious.
Gotcha.
So basically, I got what you're saying. As it already happened in your subconscious mind, it's like virtual computers. The hypervisor is the sub layer, and your brain is basically the operating system that allows it to run multiple.
I like that. That's
multiple.
Neat. Yeah.
Oh, I see that. I got you. I understand. Don't mind me. I'm just a little flustered today, a little tired, but I'm on it.
No, I talking with other scientists, and they were like, Dr. Paul, man, this is amazing. How'd you come up with this? I said, because, we are losing the battle with mood disorders here in the United States. We went over the math. We went over the numbers. We went over the 60 million people in the United States. 60 million people. And that's the ones that are registered taking mood disorder drugs. We're not even talking about self-medicated and not able to self-medicate or whatever have you, or just, who are emotionally unhealthy. And you can talk about how slight it is. I still can go to work. I can still, I still love my cat. I don't know, but when it comes to that guy, I just want to push him down the stairs. That's not healthy. I don't care how healthy you are. When you have those mood changes, those exuberant mood changes, where you're just like gritting your teeth and you're just like, mother, I'm just gonna, whoa, get off the train, right? Like someone needs to get this guy, right? Or for whatever reason it happens, things like that happen, and then you're trying to reel back in all those horses. I don't know if you've ever been on a horse ranch or seen wild horses, but one cowboy cannot wrangle like 50 horses, wild horses. It's just not. It's not there. But you do gotta get ahead of it. That's the one thing you gotta do with wild horses. You gotta get ahead of it to lead it. And right now we're chasing them.
I'm glad you said that, Dr. Dyer, earlier when you said about altering your genetic on how to, basically heal yourself, on how to not be reactive, just to be responded. Changing your cells and how you restructuring yourself, basically. Because I'm not ashamed to admit that I went through that process before, because I used to be a reactionary person, and I had to really learn how to silence the mind and really know what triggers. Weigh things out and learn how to respond instead of reacting. Because reacting on impulse, as you said, you release certain chemicals in your body. That's how you get high cholesterol and
all
chemicals, and
just all of it,
clogging your arteries. And I'm like, now I just disengage, capture the breath, and just like, you know what?
It's a fascinating thing with the network and everything. We can eat as well as we want to eat. Just eat beautifully, and the body will still have a hard time transforming and breaking down the good nutrients, just because the chemistry of what we're producing, and starting from our brain all the way down through our stem cell and our spinal cord, just doesn't react to the food the way you think we should be reacting to food.
Gotcha. Now, I wanted to say this. you spoke about how AI would change uh, the brain and the emotions. What I was thinking, while you were talking about that, I was saying while you were
Hold on,
explaining
I
it.
didn't say AI would change the emotions. It would filter it so it comes out to a balanced state with all the others.
Right. So, pardon me, filter. Wouldn't it be easier for us to figure out a way where AI can just erase old memories of things and
I don't know. I don't know if you really want that. Our memory network, um, it's a catalog. It's an old book. I reach back for old books just because I remember seeing something, whether it be a picture or a word in that old book, and I go back and pick it up, and it's useful. An old book or an old memory can be not as useful if it's only gearing you up to be in a negative state. So it's all about how you interpret the information.
Okay. So what about erasing the emotion that comes with that memory?
Oh, no, I don't. I know I personally wouldn't want that because that would take away from the development of who you are. Because if it could erase something, that means it could add something. And if it added something I didn't want, and it could erase something I didn't know I would like to have kept, well, then I'm not that think that's the delicate part. I think a lot of people are going to probably get it wrong. That's why I was doing this research for the last 3 to 5 years, because I didn't want AI to be implanted, willy-nilly, like, because you could plant it in the central nervous system and it'll just do you could probably have it do those things that you want, never let this in, always let that, and I don't know if that's not a human being anymore, you know.
It's a drone.
So yeah, so because being a human being means practicing and studying and being actionable and intentionable to be alive, right? You have a human response to live and to live. If you're doing other than living, i.e., surviving, struggling, those are all just factors that we have to get over, and it does take time. I think we're running out of time because people are running into more problems, more emotional problems than they have time to deal with them. How do we know? Because the pills are increasing.
Yeah.
The numbers that way are increasing. So either people just can't put in that work. They can put in some work, but they just can't put in that work.
Right, because the population is pretty much worked to death.
Right. Our populations work to death.
And bombarded with information on a daily basis, commercials, infomercials, symbolism, everything is constantly bombarded with data. We always got to be in the new, keeping up with the Joneses. Basically, it's just we got to constantly get our information fed to us through our phone. In the amount of words we speak daily, the amount of noises we hear, subconsciously we're recording without even knowing. So it's chaotic.
But here's the thing, you can be in, and I've done this. You can be in a noisy, crowded, anywhere place, and I can literally shut it off and hear one person. So but I get it. I trained for it. I've done that.
Right.
So if someone says, "Is it possible, Dr. Dyer?" Yeah, absolutely it's possible. So can you teach me to do it? Absolutely, I could teach you to do it. Absolutely. But my next question is, when I look at you, I'm like, "Are you ready?" They're like, "Well, I got things going on this week. How about if I hit you back next?" Oh no, I can't do it then either. I'll hit you back. Well, I'll let you know.
Mhm.
Right? Right? And then I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, so you're like, that's the answer you get.
Mhm.
Because I know even when I was doing just the physical body, right? Training, a lot of the physical body training, people give me those excuses like, what time do you have open? What time can you come? Well, what's good for you when you show up? And they're like, well, I don't know. I don't know if it's this. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I can do that. But you're probably really expensive. How about this? You start showing up, we'll work it out. Well, I don't know if I could do. So even in that situation, they have a hard time, right? Committing.
That's the word. Yep.
So, but what I did bring up at the conference, and I was talking to some people, they with my background and all, I said, here's the thing. I said, me and my people talked about New York perspective is that not many people have ever taken an oath. And I really believe it comes down to taking an oath to say, I will.
Mhm.
And once you take that obligation of an oath to say, I will, then yeah, you're going to have to change a lot of things in your life. But when you say, I will, ... man, we're limitless. But people don't take oaths.
I
It's
gotta
too
take. I
binding.
gotta take an oath to go to bed. I can't
Yeah.
sleep at night. That's chaotic. Is that reprogramming the mind that can be done for that?
You
Yeah,
mean
work
you?
out.
Or not?
Work out.
Even
Work out.
even
Work out a couple of hours before hardcore, and I bet you go to sleep.
I've been like that for years since I was a teenager, and a new thing I got. That's why, like, what's going on with my mind? I'm eating like once a day now. I've been doing that 2 years.
Oh, you're saying you're having a hard time falling asleep?
Yeah.
It's because your mind's running. I mean, that's the only thing that would keep you up. So something's got to be more tired than your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Got you.
it's gotta be your body.
Yeah.
Your body will make you go to sleep, but your mind will eventually wake you up.
Got you.
But like after doing martial arts, going through forms or you know, uh, you know, stick, knife, and all of that, and trying to remember that and training and moving. By the time you get home, I don't want to think about nothing.
Nothing.
You see how Ron said my mind's constantly going as reading, and then I think being in front of a screen all day at work. You know what I'm saying? Because I
Yeah,
do
that could
IT
be
for
that could really be the problem. Yeah,
I do
that
IT
could
for a
really be
living,
the
so
problem.
I'm staring at 4 monitors at once. So it's like,
Well, for me, I am a
mm,
thinking person. I do think a lot. I think and read a lot. I mean, um, I am. Yeah, I'm always in some form of book to study.
mhm.
Yeah, book, absolutely. I'm still into the books and going over books and
Damn, doc,
the
you sound like me.
systems of things
Yeah.
because still working my highlighters and the different yellow and red highlighters and blue highlighters in my book. And then I'll use maybe the computer to be like, okay, what, how, and then I ask the question and I'll go dig there and then read some more. And then I have to like say I push it away and then be like, okay, I'm shutting down. I have to shut this down because it's getting a little too much, and I'll push it away. It'll take me a little bit to shut it to calm it down. But I think my mind is like a little boy. Like, but you promised that we can go to the amusement park type mind, and I say, well, you know what? We did this. Let's move on. Let's relax. Let's listen to some music. Let's draw. Let's paint. let's just doodle, right? And just relax and let my mind relax away from the amusement park of the stuff I was looking at or reading or studying.
Got you.
Right. Now to bring it back to reprogramming the brain, and AI, I like this subject. So you say the AI would act as a filter, but how would
Yeah.
it filter the chemical reactions from what happens in the brain?
So it doesn't filter the chemical; it filters the wave.
Just the wave.
That's the way.
Yeah, it filters the
Oh,
wave.
like, so it's like the CAT scan that shows like when it's somebody's brain with areas of the brain that light up, the waves. That's the wave patterns.
Right. So each wave comes into the brain as a signal because we're electromagnetic, right?
Yeah, the pulse. Yeah.
Electrophysiology. So I've written it in the formula of how the waves come in. So because we have certain waves, as you know, we have the alpha, we have the delta, and we have the theta, and these types of waves, and the hertz of these waves. Where our senses also picks up on these waves and frequencies. And then the vision picks it up from, color schemes, wave, also sound that puts it into sight waves. Right? So basically, I'm filtering the wave. So no matter what is high, like I said, so it doesn't matter what sensory perception or what waveform is registering higher than the other, or gets signaled more than the other. That AI filter holds it back for the rest to catch up instead of, what the other wave triggered first and wants to run the show first.
So it's like it's like a modem. It modulates, demodulates, it breaks it down like we use an IT term, the IRQ, like on a system board, like a request line, interrupt request line. Like it will modulate it, slow down the bits, hold off for the processor. Let this one process first, and let.
Yes,
Gotcha.
absolutely.
Oh man,
Got you.
so it's
So now,
possible.
it sounds great. I mean, so what would this be? Like a machine or?
No, it would have to be implanted. Can't be an inside. So right now we're doing with a lot of outside influence. We have red light therapy. We have we have cryotherapy. Help heal that body. And so we have these wearables now, right? The ring wearable, the watch wearable. It can help you detect where things are going, i.e., blood pressure, the different signaling to say, oh my goodness, I didn't know my blood pressure was rising. Right? So let me do some of this so I can bring down my blood pressure. So we have detection externally. I want the detection to happen immediately so you can do the work immediately.
Got you.
Like I said, I really do want us to still do the work, because if we did it a different way, then the AI would be in a program that would say, be happier, be calmer.
Okay, so now where would now where would this device be implanted, and what would be the process? I mean, would you have to go do surgery and open your skull up and put something in there, or would you put it through the ear, mouth,
nose?
See, that's so.
Nose. You're right. Nose.
Knowing my weaknesses, I don't want to speculate on how to input, because the other part of this is the AI part, and I'm not an AI guy. I'm not. And the other part is what you call the surgical part, because the way they can introduce things into the body that's non-evasive. Is that possible, or is it not possible? So I'm not. That is not my field of study, and that's why at this conference, I reached out to talk with people, even who's into that neurosurgical field, and they were just blown away by my idea. And they're on board, and I showed them just a moderative diagram how I believe it's going to work, but the moderative equation how I think it can work, and because I how about this? The problem with being a scientist is that working by yourself, I can tell you now, things are flawed. You need a team to say what about, what if, and how about. Because it's tough to do that by yourself, to question something so amazing you think is amazing, you think it could really help, and it kind of starts flowing over, and you want to be such the scientist that you don't want it to flow over to ego, right? Like, this is gonna work. I don't want to be that guy. I never want to be that guy. So I know I need help. So I do need a lab. I do need people around me. But if I had to take a guess, it would have to be surgery. And if I had to take where I had thought it would be, to not answer your question, it would be in the prefrontal cortex.
Okay, now why do you choose the prefrontal cortex?
Because that's where learning takes place.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay. So these waves will affect the brain or filter. So, okay. So you're filtering the waves of the brain.
Right.
So now the device, will it send waves to pretty much connect with the waves of the brain to filter?
It would have to. It would have to filter, to catch. And the way the signal gets put up, it's like this is almost like a dust storm, and every particle isn't the same particle you're trying to filter. It's only filtering a tenth.
Okay, got you. Now you said earlier, you would like for people to also put in the work plus use this device that you would like to create. Now, last week you were saying that the amount of work that has to be put into reprogramming the brain would be hours and hours. Now, does this cut the hours in half or shorter?
Yes.
Or
Oh yeah, it will. It would be most definitely cut it into short, because now it's actually giving you a sense of pause because of the filter. Whether you have been more reactionary before, it's going to, because that is not in the hypervigilant area of that reaction to that emotion. Let's go with, instead of like you have this emotion coming in at a 4, you have this emotion coming in at a 3, you have this emotion coming in at a 10, you have this emotion coming in at a 3, and this one at a 5. Well, you mathematically put those emotions coming together because the filter's out here that's filtering it. So now it breaks it down to the lowest common equal. Where instead of usually this 10 would take over, and then everyone's following the 10 and either trying to support it or to go against it.
Got you. I can also see some cons with it too.
Yeah,
on a health label, because on a health level, because the human brain, when people have strokes, paralysis, or whatsoever, it's a neurological issue. So imagine implanting something that's going to artificially filter things out. It'll be some kind of congestion.
Well, this will only be on a wave and frequency on a neural stem cell. So your lesions that you have for stroke, your blood vessels collapsing, and things like that will still and will happen. So this doesn't stop none of that. What it would stop, maybe you're not overreacting to your diagnosis. So this way your body can be a little bit more common, so you can help heal those things internally, because once you start overreacting, then the body really starts ripping itself apart, right? So yes, the Western medicine still has to do its thing. It has to find that tear, it has to find that leak, it has to find those things and repair it. But sometimes when you are in such a hypertensive area, your blood becomes toxicity. So you're not helping recovery. You know what I mean? So yeah, you'll get stitched up. They'll find the lesion. They'll pull out the tumor or something like that. But everything still has to heal. And because of how you're feeling about all this, you've also created a toxic climate.
That's deep. I feel like they've been prepping us for this, man. You remember Ron as a kid watching Ninja Turtles? That character, the brain. Crane, when the brain in the guy's stomach.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. Like they've been prepping us for that, man.
I have something else. This is a bit controversial. What you're explaining is a bit controversial, because when I was growing up, brothers in the conscious rap circle would talk a lot about microchips being put inside the brain. I mean, inside the skull and things like that. So how would you deal with the pushback? They would say, Dr. Paul Dyer created a chip. He's the creator of the microchip for the Antichrist.
Illuminati.
So a microchip is something that cannot. It can create a filter, and it could learn, but it's also doesn't have the fluidity that AI could have. Because if it's a microchip, that means you taught it what you wanted to do.
Right. Got you. Now, as far as the work put in, what would you say? So I could imagine this chip has not only instructions for how to use it, but also it should, from what I'm thinking, maybe it should come with some kind of extra book for you to put in the work. Now, when we talk about
absolutely, yeah.
Now when we talk,
okay, Ron.
Now, when we're talking about putting in the work, if you could break down putting in the work into categories, what would be the categories?
Of how to put in the work, or to put what category would I put it? I think putting in the work is still always one. Yeah, I know it's always.
Well, let me explain. So I mean, like, putting in the work. So 1, meditation. 2, running. 3, this. 4, that. Like, if you could break it down, putting work.
The first piece is to begin to know the development of self. That's the first thing. I mean, and I'm not talking about like I like blue hats over yellow hats. I'm talking about why do I stand on this side of the door? Why do I step off with my right foot first? Well, because I'm a righty. Yeah, that you're not answering my question. Because if that's the case, then don't ever play basketball. Right? What do you mean, Dr. Dyer? Because if you're only going to step, your first step is always right foot, then as a defender, I know where to put myself. Because you never step off with your left foot. You just said you always step off with your right foot, right? So I see that as a defender, I know where to put my hips at.
Got you. You know,
So,
go ahead, Doc. Sorry about that, Doc. I was reading this book, Cybernetics, was talking about that of the brain, like as you mentioned, using different changing your routine to activate other parts of your brain that you never once used. So it was add on to what you were saying. That was pretty much it.
And that's and it's right. You know, so many people just do things. We kind of touched on this before. So many people do things so habitually. It's like they don't even know what they're doing. And they don't even know why they do it that way. And I've said this before. This is why so many Black Americans or people around the community, they're so stuck in their ways because they'll say, "Well, this is just how we do things." What the hell does that mean? I don't even know what that means. This is how we do things, and what's the outcome? So if it's like, this is how we do it to find gold, and every time we do this, we find gold. All right, I got it. Right? There's some things are just standard. Being in the military, there's some things that this is just how we do things. Why? Because the outcome is a higher rate of success than not. That's it. Okay?
Right, but you know what we're doing? This is how we do things, and the outcome is terrible, and we just stick with it. We should be the first people lining up for them chips.
Yes, I mean, it is. It is so true. It is. You're right though, because and so learning yourself, know thyself. That's not just a phrase. It's so much. Know why self. Put it that way. Know why self.
You might be onto something with that. You should trademark that right there. You might need to trademark that right there, Dr. Paul Dyer. Know why self. Ooh.
Yeah. The question is why, yeah. That makes sense.
And if you cannot answer that outside of a phrase, because I want to, this is just how I am, this is just what we do, I don't know, this is how I learned it, this is someone told me to do, then you don't need a microchip. Someone's already chipped you. Because you have no idea.
Wouldn't the why come from the first 7 years of your existence?
That is the first 7 years of existence is the, what do you call, the optimum years of training the brain.
Right.
If I can have your kids for the first 7 years of their life, I'll have them for the rest of their life.
Exactly.
And it's fascinating who came up with that phrase, and that was the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah.
They're, they may be evil, but they're not wrong.
Yeah. It's 7 years of mission.
7 years, and I'll have them for the rest of their life. Yeah. And the only reason why things change, people say, well, I'm not a this anymore. I don't do that anymore. It was dramatic that caused you to change. There was something so dramatic that it fell like a large rock in a river that you had to reroute a river. Right? Whatever that dramatic was, whatever that big thing was in your life, it changed you. But again, it changed you. You didn't change because you realized the river was running wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Again, you still don't know your why.
Right. Wow. I think that should be the next podcast. We talk about the why in the first 7 years of existence. What about the next 7 years going into adolescence?
Adolescence, yeah.
They're often repeated and become strengthened through the next 70 years. We repeat the same things we do at 7, from 0 to 7, that we do at 35 and 70.
Brother, listen. I came to that conclusion over the weekend because all the stuff that I do, and like I'm always around a lot of people, and I just watch people. And I said, wow, it looks like we're really grown children sometimes.
Just a different sandbox.
Right.
That's all.
Got you. So now, one more question about reprogramming in the work. So why? Okay, what would be next on that list?
Man, after you get over the why, it's you find yourself into the how.
Exactly.
Now, the how is confusing to people. We thought the why is confusing. No, the how is confusing because the how needs information. All information, not segregated information. If you're learning about Black history and you're only learning about Black history and all the things that was successful, that was atrocities, that was everything, and you don't know the other part of history, you still don't know how. You got to know your how.
Everything is like multi-layered. The how is multi-layered.
Yes.
Now
All
after
sides of the spectrum.
Now after the how, what would be the next step? The why, the how.
So after you go through your how, things start to fall out into the what to do, what to implement, what to work on. So it starts doing the what. So, and your what can be meditation on this thing or exercise on that thing.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's or.
Right. I created myself. So sometimes, when you're doing like so much, you tend to relapse, right? So like if I'm working out, or if I'm going to martial arts class and I'm doing this with my children and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, to keep up with it all, it takes a great amount of will and organization to keep it going for 52 weeks, for a whole year, right? So sometimes I fall off on things. So I created what did I write? A relapse questions plan of action. So
love it.
So when I relapse, I go, okay, I just relapsed. Now, why? Then I start going, how did I relapse? That's the question. And then after that, what's the plan of action to move forward and keep going?
There it is.
Your own program, your own cycle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I created like a system. I just recently created this system to make sure that I don't relapse.
And I tell you, most people who are intentional will do what you did in their lives. But the caveat is, are your intentions of humanistic area? Are you a human living? Are you a controller? Because you could develop that because you feel out of control. Or you could develop it because you're a human and you're developing because you want to serve. That's a fine line.
Well, my whole life is centered around service. So,
well, you could say that. I've talked to CEOs, and they say their life is about service, but they forget that they're human. And they never thought of it that way
That
because
happens.
they're so far removed from the human side of their doing.
Are you God? Generate, operate, destroy. I always say that. Oh yeah, man. You gotta. As Ron said, I do that all the time. I have my little vision board, or there's times I sit down when I have to quiet my mind and be like, all right, I'm all over the place because within my life, my way my lifestyle is, I got like a dependent family that needs my attention, and other people like constantly need my attention. They I'm like, all right, let me get a little moment for myself, a little 10-minute breather, just to decompress. Because I realize, constantly being of service, people want to, hear your voice, get save somebody's life, give them advice and everything. But there'll be a moment I'm like, I need a moment for myself.
Right. And you got to take it.
Exactly. Because I'm like, I'm going to go crazy if I don't. So, yeah.
Right.
I understand.
Well, I don't know if you got something to say?
No.
Good.
Okay. On that note, I would like to close today's podcast on mind control, reprogramming the brain with Dr. Paul Dyer. Appreciate you, Dr. Paul Dyer. Next week, I want to go into the details of the what, the how, and the why, or the why, how, and the what. I want to go into detail with those three things because those three things it's all about putting in the work. So we don't have the AI chip now. So what can we do to reprogram the brain now with the work that Dr. Paul Dyer suggests? Next week's podcast, 7 p.m. Look for Dr. Paul Dyer, 7 p.m. every Monday, and give them your social media handles. Tell them where they can find you.
Oh, people can find me if they put in Dr. Paul Dyer. I think that's the easiest thing. LinkedIn, Snap, whatever. It'll come. It's either Dr. Paul Dyer, Grandmaster, or it's once you see the picture, you're like, oh, that's the guy. That's the funny guy in the beard.
Meditation, people. Meditation.
But wait a minute, he's holding a rifle and a gun. Yeah, don't get it twisted. Dr. Paul Dyer is a very kind guy.
He will blame you, as they say.
On that note, peace to everybody in the chat. Everybody viewing 7 o'clock is the schedule. Monday, Wednesday at 8:15, and Tuesday at 8:15. Wednesday at 7 p.m. all lives. The rest of the week, they're pre-recorded videos. We're giving you content 7 days a week moving forward. So look forward to it. We have a podcast with Brother Cujo coming on right now. However, it's pre-recorded, so look out for that on Saturday, 3 p.m. Peace to everybody.
Oh, yeah. Thursday, we got a podcast with Tiffany.
Tiffany podcast coming out. See y'all. We're checking out. Peace to everybody.
Peace.
And we're out.